guys, it is Aoife from Fred We See Died Laughing, and I am here to do a book review today. So recently I was sent Roseblood by Amulet, which is part of Abrams Chronicles publishers, and this is kind of a YA Phantom of the Opera retelling. And this book is about a young girl. She's about 16 years old. Her name is Rune Germain, and she's basically been gifted an amazing voice. She's really great at singing, particularly opera, but every time she sings she ends up feeling like really sick and really faint, and she goes to this special school in France called Roseblood, and she feels that this school has special ties to the legend of the Phantom of the Opera, and she has all these feelings that what if the Phantom of the Opera is real and is in the school, and all these weird things start to happen. And she finds this boy, she sees this boy with half of his face masked, and she kind of starts thinking that he might be the Phantom, and she has this connection with this boy, and this whole story kind of tells the story behind Rune's voice, why she has such a magical, powerful voice, why it leaves her feeling drained, and her connection to this boy as well. I actually quite enjoyed this. I've never read anything by A.G. Howard before, though I have had my eye on her Splintered series, which is like I think an Alice in Wonderland retelling, and I didn't really know what to expect going into this. I didn't know what the writing would be like, if I would like the writing, that kind of thing. But overall I can say that the writing in this was absolutely lovely. It was really great. It was very poetic. I felt like it matched the tone of the story, I guess. The story is very mystery, it's full of mystery, it's dark and intriguing, but there's like a sense of magic around it as well, that, you know, not everything you see is what you can believe. You know, you kind of have to just accept some things, that they are the way they are, you know, there's a little bit of magic in the air, and I really felt like the writing definitely reflected this in the story. It was very poetic, it was very flowing, it was very easy to read, but it was like just lovely. It was like, as I said, it was very poetic. It was almost like a song of parts, some of the descriptions in it, and I just really enjoyed that. I'm not always one for very flowery writing, but I think it just, within this story, it worked because of the way what the story was about, and the intrigue and mystery behind the story. The kind of poetic writing really worked for this. I really loved the setting of this book. It's set in France, it's set a little bit outside of Paris. It's not exactly like, you know, dead in the centre of Paris, but it still has this kind of Parisian setting. You know, they are in France. A lot of the students do seem to be American, but I think they are all speaking French. But I just enjoyed that it was like somewhere else. It wasn't like, you know, this school that had something to do with Phantom of the Opera that was like in the middle of the States. It was like very realistic that it was in France. It was in Paris, France. And I don't know too much about the Phantom of the Opera. I've never read the book, and I've only seen like little bits of the movie. I've only ever seen like snippets of the movie. So I didn't really like know like everything there was to know about the Phantom of the Opera going into this as well. But I think that the way this story is, it's told in a way that it still has all these elements of the true Phantom of the Opera, and you're told quite a lot about the legend and, you know, the people in that story and what it's kind of about. So you don't need to read the Phantom of the Opera. It's kind of told through you, you get a little bit of a run through of it. But I feel like this story itself, you know, A.G. Howard really made the story her own by giving the story all these different twists, and giving Rune Germain, the main character, kind of doing something with her and her voice, kind of this magical element of it, and definitely just like made it her own. Like, she definitely made this legendary story her own in a way. And we have kind of, you know, the old Phantom and almost like a new Phantom, and I just really enjoyed that. I just thought it was really original and really great. And as I was saying, I did really love the setting. Not only that it was set in Paris, France, but I also just loved the whole setting of the school. Like this really old building in the middle of nowhere, and it's like, you know, it's an opera school. Like there's not, you don't really hear or read about schools that specialise in just opera. And it was really kind of the way the school is described, you know, has all these elegant gardens of flowers, and then like the canteen is like dark and like candle lit, and, you know, everything reflects like stories in opera, where opera is quite dark and brooding, and romantic. This was the school. The school was like that as well. You know, the rooms were small. They were almost like little dressing rooms, all the kids' rooms. They were almost like dressing rooms, and they all had like a specific iron wrought key, like that was intricately decorated, and I just loved having all that in my head. I just thought that was really great. And it was one of those, like, even though like I can't sing, and I'm like, you know, I'm not interested in opera, though I've never tried really to have an interest in it, but I would know nothing about it. I was almost wishing I could go to the school just to experience it, because it just sounded so great. I would really like to go there and be a student, or just experience life there for a while. I really enjoyed that. The love story in this is a little bit hard to stomach sometimes, because it's a little bit insta-lovey, but it works. It's one of those insta-love things that does kind of work, because, you know, there's a lot of, I can't really say too much because there'll be spoilers, but there's a lot explained between Rune and the main guy in this, whose name is Thorn. And, you know, there's a lot of things explained about why they are the way they are, why they have this connection, and it just ends up working. Like, I have a bit of a problem sometimes when, you know, people are kind of confessing their love to each other when they've probably only had like 2 or 3 conversations together their whole life. It's kind of like, how can you love each other when you know nothing about each other? But for some reason I was able to accept Rune and Thorn's love, and I was able to accept their relationship and say, well, obviously these guys are meant to be together. Their relationship did seem really kind of genuine, and it seemed really real, and the chemistry between them was very, like, it's very adamant in the book. You can really feel that chemistry between the two of them. So yeah, I did really like them. You know, I had to kind of put my own kind of personal kind of do's and don'ts aside for a moment and just concentrate on the way the story was told and these reasons we were given, and I was like, does that work? And it did. In the end, it did for me. And I ended up just really rooting for them. I thought the ending of this book, like, while it was good, I felt like it was very wrapped up in like a really neat little bow. It actually reminded me, the way the ending was, we kind of get like a run through of each character, and it was almost like a movie. It reminded me of a movie. And yeah, I don't know whether I liked that or not. I think because this is a standalone, obviously it probably kind of worked. We weren't left with too many, you know, question marks. But sometimes, I don't know, there are some books sometimes that I like those question marks, and you can kind of create your own story for the character then afterwards. And where this one, you know, there was a lot of, like, you know, there was a lot of neat little bows. So yeah, I think I would have maybe liked a few less bows and a few more question marks maybe. I don't know, that could just be me, my own personal preferences of books. But yeah, overall this was really great. It was very well written. As I said, a legendary story that was completely made original by, you know, the different aspects that are put into this book. I really like the characters, I love the setting. Like, overall I really enjoyed this book, and I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars. And this book is out in shops on the 10th of January, so there's only a couple of weeks left before this is out, so I would definitely urge people to go out and get it, because it is just a very beautiful story, very beautiful book cover. I adore the cover, I've said it so many times already, but I really love this book cover. So yes, 10th of January, go out and get it if you are interested, because it was a really good book. And that is that for this review. I hope you guys enjoyed. Please let me know if you've read the book or if you are interested in reading the book and your thoughts. And thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys again next time.